Winston is a user and a thief and a liar, and he's very proficient at it. Winston portrayed himself as a man of God, but he's really demon-possessed. I first met Winston online dating. The first time he told me he loved me, it was pretty early on in the relationship.
Okay, so Winston took one good look at her and knew that she was the next victim, the next target, the next, the next project, the next contract, however you want to call it. And it's a shame. Because I'm sure this person has a really good heart and a big heart, but you can just look and tell that she's gullible. And that doesn't mean that she should be used in this manner at all. But Winston sounds like he's a person who just uses people, obviously. But I'm sure that there were a lot of lies that she ended up falling for. Let's go ahead and take a look at this clip.
He had promised me that we'd be married within 3 months. Winston ended our engagement by sending me a text message that said it's over. When Winston kicked me out, I felt so unbelievably betrayed. He was so calculating and manipulative without any remorse.
So it sounds like Winston was a narcissist, and she, just fell for his narcissistic traits. Now, obviously, we haven't heard from Winston. We're getting his from her account, right? And so, and Dr. Phil, I'm sure, is going to go in, and Dr. Phil will dismantle this whole situation. Dr. Phil will extract it. We'll take a look at it too with our eyes, with our assessment skills that we have built on this channel in the past year, if you will, about, because before I was covering mental health issues with Jazz Jennings, of course, I was told that, I've basically been shunned from watching all the old clips. So we have to move on to something else. And there's plenty of, if you will, there's plenty of fish in the sea. I don't know. There's plenty of people to take a look at and see what's going on and what's going on with people. It's a shame. People want to be loved so much and they get caught up in some of the most saddest situations. So I'm not judging this woman in any fashion. I want to be very clear, but let's get into it some more.
Feels scarred. Winston makes me want to rip his head off.
Don't feel sorry for him. I don't. Stand up for yourself.
Well, this is the first time all three of these people have been in one room together, and these two seem to have formed an alliance.
Yeah, I could tell. And Winston, he's just like, well, you know what? I found another one, because there's the male to female ratio is apparently out of this world, and it doesn't get any better the older you get, apparently. So Winston is like, hey, what do you want me to do? Hey, I get in my I do what I do. You can already tell by the face.
Apparently, Winston. Julie, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here too.
You are telling, we've talked about you before you were here.
I heard it all, and I just want to say that Tanya was pretty accurate in all of her statements. When I learned about Tanya, Winston and I had already been engaged since August of 2011. It was August 14th, to be exact. He introduced me as his fiance to other people, neighbors, the dean of the university.
Why, if she thought we were engaged, I didn't believe we were engaged. I didn't say that.
Did you lead her to believe you were on a marriage path?
She led herself to believe we were on a marriage path. I did not make that commitment to her.
You said I wanted to propose to her.
First off, am I going to get in trouble for that on YouTube? Shout out to her. He's going to break it down. Isn't that so sad? If she wanted to believe that she was on a marriage path, I didn't, but you didn't stop her either. Men do things like this. They do. This isn't a crime. Some people want to make it a crime. It's not a crime, but it is a sad thing. And I wouldn't call them men. It's these insecure guys who happen to be older, because it's not all men, right? And I want to make that clear. I don't do not alls often, but I want to make that clear because there's a lot of good men out here that, then Winston becomes a representative, and it's like, well, damn. That's so sad. She thought they were going to get married, and he must have did something for her to think that. Now, maybe he didn't give her a ring, but he probably said, yeah, I could see myself giving you a ring. Come on, she wanted that.
because she kept the house clean and forced herself in. That's a quote from you.
I was thinking about it. I was considering
That's a quote.
Yes, sir.
You recorded
Yes, sir. I was considering would I settle in this relationship for this person who was a friend and was helpful and was not, I thought was sweet.
I'm not judging
I'm
you on
glad
that.
he didn't marry me.
Okay, I understand. I'm not saying that you don't have the right to change your mind, and she's happy you did. She's got a list of 26 things she hates about you.
Yeah, including counting how many seconds I brush my teeth.
And you don't take a shower long enough.
Dr. Phil, based on that list, I wouldn't want to marry me either.
Well,
All those conditions didn't exist when I met him.
Did you really time his showers?
Yes, and brushing his teeth, because that was something that was a must. I must have good hygiene, oral hygiene and physical hygiene.
She got a couple issues herself, and we are going to look at another clip too. She does have a couple issues herself, but shout out to her, because she's like, I don't care. Like, I have things that I like. And she probably figured out, she's not a lost cause in any fashion. She looks like she's fun. She takes care of herself. She has her quirks, I can tell. But Winston doesn't deserve to treat her like that, right? And again, like I said, these so-called men who do that thing about like, oh, we're going to get married, we're going to be together, and then take it back. I've been in that situation, and I like to think of myself as a pretty rational person. Although when you fall in love, there's a lot of rationality that does go out the window. I mean, like, let's keep it real, right? You're crazy in love, right? And so then it becomes very easy for, vulnerabilities to get in the way and then advantages to be taken. And that can go both ways, right? And you have to be careful when you do that to people, because when the person finally figures out that this isn't going anywhere, well, in my case, I just had to keep on moving. I was like, it is what it is. You can't just sit here and regret all your life. But there are some people who get drastic in these kind of situations. And that's something to think about.
Was the Audi in storage, or did you drive it?
No, the Audi. I drove it for a while after she passed. Then I put it in storage, and then I put it into Las Vegas, and then it was just sold.
Okay. You sold the Audi.
Yes.
You feel like she sold it out from under you.
Absolutely.
I own some cars, but I don't keep any of them at the mall.
Oh, no. It was Michelle was
Behind
very proud.
stanchions.
No, she was very proud, and she wanted to put it on display at somewhere.
It looks like it's still got the sticker.
We had just bought it too.
I'm sorry?
We had just bought it 2 weeks prior.
So, okay, in this clip, we have a situation with Suzanne telling a bunch of lies. And everybody's laughing, but she's delusional. It's weird because she knows she's making up stories as she goes, but there's a moment where behavior crosses the line into an affective disorder. But okay, let's see what's going on.
Was it hard to see with that sticker?
She barely drove it.
Barely drove. I would think she would if you had the sticker in the windshield.
No, she was trying to show it off to all her friends in Indian Wells.
Yeah. It's certainly pretty. And so that's the Audi.
Yes.
And then the ring, and we took that ring and we Google imaged it, and that same exact picture, exact angle, was on a jeweler's website.
Right. But my sister also likes sapphires.
What is happening? Because I'm trying to make it make sense myself. Jeez, of all the times to get the hiccup. Sorry, guys. Yeah. What's happening here?
Well, if you had the ring, why copy it from a website?
No, inside it says, choose the right.
Says what?
It says choose the right. CTR.
Bill, given this will, does he have the right to those items? Would he prevail in court if he moved for those items to be?
It appears that there are serious issues about whether there is a will, whether or not it was Michelle's will, whether or not, if it is, it's null and void. I would think there would be a lot of issues for him to overcome in trying to recover property that is distributed under such a document.
Ryan can still have it. You know, he can still have it. He said he wants a treasurer. He can still have it.
Okay, well, let me ask you something. Your name, and I'll blank this out on the air, but your name will change because you filed a petition for change.
Correct.
What will be your full name when it's changed?
It'll be Suzanne Elizabeth.
Was that a married name?
It was one of my parents.
One of your parents? Mm-hmm. But when you were born, your birth certificate says, mm-hmm. How is it that your sister, Michelle Jacqueline's last name is?
Because she was married to a gentleman that had that last name as well.
She married someone that had the same last name as one of your parents?
She married a gentleman in Newport Beach that had the same last name, yes.
That had the same last name as one of your parents?
Yes.
Now that's a coincidence. Isn't that a coincidence?
Yes.
I think when people get under a lot of emotional stress and a lot of pressure, they have different ways of coping with things. Agreed. I mean, everybody has a different way of coping with it. Some people withdraw, some people develop nervous tics, some people create fantasy worlds.
A sister. Like, I'm sorry. So apparently this person, yes, that does happen. You need advice to pull yourself out of a situation, you know, and you can create a fantasy world or, you know, like things like that do happen. And then this is when you can cross over into like some sort of affective disorder if it keeps on going on and going on and going on. That's really not a safe way to start coping. This lady has something severe going on here. Although one thing though about people with mental health issues, a lot of times they don't take care of themselves, but she's taking care of herself, right? But something broke her. Something really broke her because this is, I'm just like, what is going on here?
It's never done with malice, but it takes on a life of its own. And you know, pretty soon one thing leads to another, and then that leads to another, and then that leads to another, and then pretty soon we get to a point where we don't really know how to set the record straight. Do you have a story?
Yeah, we really don't. And I think that's what's going on here. That does happen, you know, where you're so into the thing and then you don't know how to set it straight and then it's just lie after lie. But then the problem is, though, it's very easy you can cross into, again, what I'm saying is like an affective disorder. Because it's like the thing about being borderline, right? Okay. A borderline patient who wants attention can continuously like pretend that they're going to pass out. But then it becomes a habit and it becomes a habit and it becomes a habit where now it becomes almost so much of a cudgel or coping mechanism that it's uncontrollable. And now it becomes like where they get hysterical and it keeps elevating and elevating. And now you've gone past the point of reality where you're so far into it where you can't even fully take yourself out of it, right? And then to dismantle that, to unravel that, you should not do on your own. You shouldn't do it on your own at all. And that's I do advocate allegedly, you know, with liability purposes and all that. You know, people seek help though. Prayer, you know, I always say, but God did put the doctors and the psychiatrists and stuff to help. Unfortunately, a lot of people want to get those titles just to have them, but there are still some good ones out here. And I will give it to Dr. Phil, even though somebody will be like, well, he has a show. he is very common sense kind of person. Unfortunately, he's so common sense, and it makes it seem the world is so irrational that it, and I'm not trying to come at this man at all, that he could say the most calm of things, and it's like, oh my God, but it's because we're hearing so much of everything else. And we've also become a society where we will feed into people's delusions and tell them that they are okay, that they can be whatever they want to be and be nothing at the same time, right? So anyway, I thought this was a pretty cool clip too. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.